We are so pleased to announce our new product, and we are anxious to show you all its new features today. So keep watching.
The only thing left to do is amputate. I'm sorry. The nerve damage is out of control. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Nerve pain was eating away at my mother's body, and soon she wouldn't have a leg. I remembered when it started. She complained of feeling pins and needles in her toes and feet. We didn't think much of it then, but now the sensation of pins and needles has erupted into an agonizing and relentless burning sensation. No sleep, no relief, and no way out had driven her to the brink of insanity. And here we are, discussing when we'll be taking her leg. It blindsided all of us. Our family was in shock. My mother's primary doctor and even dozens of specialists we lined her up for never even saw it coming. How could all these doctors not know what to do? My blood boiled every time I had to watch my mother down a few gabapentin just for a few hours of sleep. The truth is, we didn't amputate my mother's leg, and today she gets to live a normal life again. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sharing this nightmare with you. What I'm about to share with you has been a closely guarded secret for nearly a century. It's a breakthrough that emancipates you from your numbness, tingling, burning, and yes, even the nightmare of losing a leg. My name is Maxwell Conrad. I'm the guy unanimously hated by every pharmaceutical company in America. Why? Because while their expensive medications, creams, and sprays only numb the skin while your nerves continue collapsing until you're unable to walk, sleep, or even wear clothes like a normal person, this simple presentation is robbing them of thousands of dollars every month. And frankly, they don't even want you to know I exist. In fact, it's only a matter of time before they try and shut this website down for good. These drug companies have their greedy little hands tightly gripped around your nerve pain, and they relentlessly try to cover up the fact that the real cause of nerve pain, whether it's peripheral, focal, or anything in between, is triggered by little-known enzymes hidden deep within your immune system. As we speak, this is disrupting your body's natural healing process while simultaneously stealing the pleasure you once enjoyed. Honestly, you're in much more danger than you realize if you're feeling any sort of tingling, crawling, or burning sensation anywhere on your body. It's crucial that you take action to treat the nerve problem, otherwise you run the risk of sudden hospitalization, potential amputation of toes, feet, legs, or even death. And that's why I made this short video. I want to share what I've learned about inflammatory nerve poisoning, the true root problem of nerve pain. I want to share what you can do about it right now, before it eats away at your health and sanity more than it already has. You're about to discover what the Western world at one point considered unusual remedies, yet they've been used successfully by people such as Malaysian Penan tribe, who have been passing this knowledge down for centuries. They use it for rapid nerve healing, and it still works today. And what I'm about to share with you doesn't contain any of the harsh chemicals pushed by pharmaceutical companies today. Now you can get relief from the tingling, burning, and numbing sensations that plague your daily life. It will soothe your nerves, instantly improving your family life, work performance, and liberate you from sleepless nights of discomfort. Meanwhile, your entire body will be healing from the inside out, instead of numbing the pain as nerves continue to die. What I uncovered doesn't require a prescription, doesn't come with side effects, or causes dependency like all of today's mainstream pharmaceutical prescriptions. It's been proven without a doubt. Leading studies like the Journal of Neurological Science, Pain Research and Management, and the Journal of Neural Regeneration all found that this is a nerve pain breakthrough. So you can stop buying those patches, creams, gels, and lotions that cause itching, irregular heartbeat, and chronic headaches. Stop wasting your time, sanity, and your money on things that don't correct the root cause and create even more uncomfortable problems. Over 13,039 Americans have used this tried and true remedy with rapid results. Are you ready to join them with your own success story? Are you ready to save yourself from years of sleepless nights, tingling pain and the piles of placebos stacking up next to your bed? Are you ready to finally start enjoying life with your friends and family again? If so, I want you to hear every single word of this presentation so I can show you exactly how to fight the devastating inflammatory nerve poisoning and shield yourself against nerve pain for years to come and quickly soothe the pain haunting your daily life. You won't feel those tingling, crawling sensations while you try to sleep anymore. You won't feel the pain and cramps that make life unbearable. Instead, you'll feel lasting relief and comfort for the first time in months or even years. Additionally, in only a few minutes, I'll give you the exact recipe in this video. I'll give you the freedom to rejoin your friends and enjoy activities you've been missing out on for so long. This is the recipe that will give you long-term relief from the burning sensations that hurt so bad you want to scream, all while freeing you from the crawling sensations of prickly numbness and giving you back your coordination, and even work towards helping restore your visual acuity. Ruby DeLong of Memphis, Tennessee says, "I cried every time I left the doctor's office. My nerve pain transformed from an annoyance to a literal torture plaguing my life. I had to quit my job on March 8th because it had gotten so bad. I couldn't sleep and I couldn't sit long enough to do my job. I was forced to quit. The pain was too much. My doctor wanted to keep putting me on more and more medications. One by one, my stockpile of prescriptions grew, and after 3 months of getting the runaround, I gave up. The prescriptions weren't working and were too expensive. I felt like I was being played for a fool. Thankfully, I stumbled upon your video and was engaged enough to finish it. I immediately followed the steps at the end, and within days, I was feeling normal again. The only tears I'm crying now are of joy for the relief I finally have. Once again, I can stretch and enjoy my long walks again. It's been 3 whole months since I started, and I haven't felt this good since I was in my 30s. And while I am frustrated with my doctor and the debt I built up, I'm incredibly relieved the nightmare is over. Sincerely, thank you." Once again, my name is Maxwell Conrad. I live about an hour outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I work as a senior project manager in the local biology lab. My job isn't glamorous, but I gladly took it years ago with the intention to move up the ladder. I've also witnessed many incredible things here regarding the development of new products, amazing treatments, and medical breakthroughs. I grew up in a typical American household. My parents raised me as a Christian with strong ethics and good manners. My mother is the biggest influence in my life, and that's why when her nerve pain issues got out of control, I was absolutely terrified. At first, I was just uncomfortable with the fact that she was experiencing tingling and sometimes couldn't sleep. That was before her nerve pain nearly sent her to an early grave. I hate bringing our story up, but I want to make sure that what happened to us never happens to you. I visit my mom almost every Sunday. Whether it's taking the family over to play a game of Phase 10, eat some hearty dinner, or have service together, we always make sure to get together and chat. Last year, Mom got up from our game to check on an apple pie, and everything went slow motion as I watched her stumble and trip over her own legs. I caught her just before she hit her head on the kitchen counter, and that's when I knew things had gotten really bad. So I prayed that things would get better, although I strongly disagreed with her. I just played the whole thing off as an off night for her, and we continued on with the evening. But as the weeks passed, my mother got more and more fatigued. I noticed that she was consuming painkillers as if they were candy, even while at church. Her burning pain and numbing sensations got worse and worse by the day. And even though she couldn't sleep well, she still forced herself to work each morning. "Maybe this is what God wants," she said one day as she was now bedridden. By now the pain was literally so excruciating she couldn't even walk. And that was the final nail in the coffin. "I'm taking you to the emergency room right now," I demanded. She shrugged in agreement, but as soon as we got in there, the doctor told us that she was already at the point where there was nothing she could do but learn to live with it. He then proceeded to prescribe an insane dosage of highly addictive tramadol to add to the disgusting regimen of medication she was already taking. Now that she had to take her pills every 90 minutes, her appetite for actual food disappeared, and I felt sick for her. Adding to her nerve pain, she now complained all throughout the day of dizziness, rashes, and even her lipoderm cream, which now caused the pain to be even worse. She cried her eyes out on several occasions, claiming my effects were even worse than the nerve pain itself. I was forced to watch my mother continue to get worse and worse, with no apparent hope in sight. And surprisingly, that wasn't even the worst part. See, you probably heard that neuropathic drugs can make the burning sensations worse and can lead to an increased heartbeat and mental confusion. But you might not know that despite the Federal Center for Disease Control claiming neuropathy meds like these are non-addictive, statistics show the exact opposite, as an estimated 500,000 innocent Americans will die from these drugs by the year 2027. A study conducted at Ohio State University shows that drugs like gabapentin don't actually do anything to help the pain long term. It only numbs the pain of the nerve symptoms for a few hours. What's more, they found that gabapentin actually releases a euphoric high with every dose, making drugs like these even more dangerous than drugs found on the street. When I think back on all these meds getting my mom high throughout the years, I get extremely angry. Sadly, it got to the point where it was clear to all of us that she was addicted to them. Were the doctors just doing the bare minimum to keep their jobs? Or was it the truly dark possibility that their relationships with drug companies made this the standard operating procedure? It was a rainy day in September 2018 when I first noticed it. We were playing a game of Scrabble. We were actually laughing for a while, and I started to see a glimmer of hope in her smile. But that suddenly ended when she tried to stand up. She screamed like I had never before witnessed my entire life. That's when I first saw the infections forming on the bottom of her poor feet. Whenever I think of the sight, I get a tingle down my spine and a cringe across my face. The sores and ulcers are etched into my memory, along with that feeling that I seriously failed my mother. Then the doctor told us if we couldn't get the nerve damage under control, the infections could spread throughout her entire body. So if she actually survived the life-threatening infections, amputation would be the final and only option to protect the rest of her body. I was enraged and completely powerless as I sat there and listened to this doctor tell me how lucky we were that she has some time left. He told me to be grateful and that they've seen this happen many times before. As I looked at my mother's deformed leg and realized there was an infection eating at her fragile body, I felt like I was in a horrible nightmare. I couldn't stand the thought of losing my mom, and I couldn't stand the thought of her losing her leg. I couldn't accept this. There had to be a way to help my mom, but the doctors acted as if they had no sympathy. They seemed so sure that at any day she would be losing her leg. This all might sound extreme, but sadly, it's very common. Weak and tired nerve pain victims across the nation are suffering right now as we speak. They're experiencing changes in heart rate, blood pressure, breathing even. They're experiencing paralysis, organ failure, and amputation, all because of these nerve conditions. It all might start with a small tingling and burning sensation, but that quickly takes a horrible turn for the worse. And a lot of them never take it seriously while they still have a chance. So I spent every waking hour of the day scouring research archives at work. What did I have to lose? I had already the threat of losing my mother. I desperately needed to pinpoint a solution. I started looking deeper into things that the doctors said about how it was an incurable condition and how we couldn't reverse it. Soon I began to learn that virtually all neuropathic conditions are the same. They carry the same symptoms, treatments, and negative effects in daily life. I found a study from the Journal of Neurological Science that stated neuropathic pain is defined as pain caused by nervous system damage or dysfunction. I thought something was wrong here because all the doctors were talking about how there were so many different types of nerve pain. Yet this study suggested that it was simply a result of damage or dysfunction to the nervous system, which means it doesn't matter what type of nerve pain you have. The study went on to suggest that the nature of nerve pain is simpler than we are led to believe. Maybe, I thought, the solution is simpler too. I decided to investigate further. I ripped through stacks of studies, hoping to find a logical solution to the nerve pain. I thought it was a long shot, but can you blame me? Was it still possible to save my mom's life? I needed to know the truth. I combed through over 98 studies and began cold emailing dozens of researchers across the nation. Yet I wasn't getting much closer to proving my theory that there was one true root cause behind all nerve pain. I was literally on the verge of throwing in the towel. I was just about to end my search and surrender to the kingdom of Big Pharma when I finally reached the tipping point. But then I found something that would change everything. It was a scientific report from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and it couldn't have been better timing. As it turns out, I'm not the only person in the world who thinks the solution for all neuropathy is much simpler. In April of 2016, PhD researcher from the Mount Desert Island Biological Laboratory, Sandra Reiger, concluded that generally no single treatment is effective for all neuropathies. That's what we used to think anyway. However, our research suggests there is a common mechanism in all neuropathies, no matter what causes it, that we might be able to manipulate by targeting one single enzyme. The enzyme behind all neuropathies, MMP13. Dr. Reiger explains that MMP13 is toxic to the nerves, and when the enzyme levels get too high, the skin on your feet, legs, and hands become much more vulnerable by eating away at the collagen which keeps the skin held together. It acts as a glue to protect your skin from everyday stresses that resists damage. Imagine walking a rough trail barefoot. You would feel every rock, sticker, and pebble stabbing into your unprotected foot. The collagen acts as a protective boot, and walking that same trail with boots on, well, you could walk, run, even jump on jagged rocks and twigs and not feel a thing. When the enzyme MMP13 eats away at your nerve endings, everyday walking and activities become that same jagged and treacherous trail without boots on. This causes the collagen to wither away, destroyed by the damage. However, the good news is, according to Dr. Reiger's research, if you can inhibit the activity of this toxic enzyme, you can combat the tingling and numbing and the rest of your pain symptoms in a completely new way. I felt like God was rewarding me for my persistence because right after discovering Dr. Reiger's research, I stumbled upon another groundbreaking study from the Journal of Diabetes and its Complications. In it, I found more evidence that confirmed Dr. Reiger's research. MMP13 inhibition may be beneficial in the treatment of human diabetic neuropathy. Researchers studied its role in neurological pain syndromes in a separate study conducted by Pain Research and Treatment. This study focused specifically on neuropathic pain and migraine headaches. Not surprisingly to me at this point, they detected an increase in enzyme MMP13 activity in patients. This led them to believe inhibiting this enzyme was the key to fighting off symptoms of nerve pain, including itching, burning, tingling, throbbing, and stabbing sensations that plague your daily life and keep you awake at night. I was excited to finally find new leads towards a cure, but I needed an outside look from someone who wasn't so attached to the idea as I was. I contacted an old colleague of mine, Albert Prince. I thought he could really weigh in on this since he was previously the manager of natural sciences at the lab. I met Albert in 1994 when I was doing volunteer missions with the Peace Corps. He discovered that we had a lot in common, including an unnatural excitement for natural healing and therapies. It was a passion that united us as friends instantaneously. Albert was employed under the executive branch of the Peace Corps at this time. Albert was very well connected. He was even friends with some of the world's top researchers. When Albert returned my call, I explained my mom's hopeless case and how, if I couldn't figure out how to help her, she would soon be losing her leg. I also shared my recent discovery of enzyme MMP13 as the root cause of nerve pain. He remained in silence for a few short moments. I thought he might have hung up on me for a second. But then, he said, "It's easy to misunderstand the connection between MMP13 and nerve pain, but here's a much easier way to think about it." He continued to explain that this enzyme is dormant in healthy bodies, but things like air pollution, blue light from screens, metal in the water, and unhealthy Western diets are all triggers of the MMP13 enzyme. These external stressors repeatedly trigger the enzyme. Naturally, this leads to the crumbling and degradation of nerve endings, leading to chronic nerve pain, pins and needles, burning, muscle pain, and coordination problems, he continued. Thank you for your input, Albert, I said. I'm really onto something here. I'm close to a real breakthrough, but there's something important missing. If I can find a way to shut off the enzyme MMP13 for good, it could be the key to saving my mom's life and anyone else suffering from neuropathy. Is that correct? He partially agreed with me, but soon added that related to inhibiting the MMP13 enzyme, we would be completely remiss to ignore other inflammation-triggering enzymes that are known to create pain pathways throughout the body. He rattled off names such as COX-2, PGE2, 5-LOX, TNF-alpha, INOS, RNS, and NF-kappa-B, NFKB. Albert then rhetorically asked, why not destroy them all? When I heard this, I felt probably exactly how you're feeling right now. Whoa, that sounds great. But it also sounds like an overwhelming amount of scientific mumbo-jumbo to try and even come close to understanding. Albert assured me that while our mission was not exactly easy, it was in fact simple. Then he shared with me what he had been keeping a well-kept secret until now. He had already done much of the research already. Albert continued, I've been conducting research for the last 3 years, and I've come across some extremely interesting findings. For starters, I've unlocked a combination of herbs that contains the pain-melting secret that's been hidden from the general public for decades. These analgesic and anti-inflammatory properties could very well represent the biggest natural nerve pain-stopping breakthrough of our time, if not ever. Albert explained that this was huge news for those who've only been making do with joints, muscles, tendons, and extremities that ache and throb every time they move and burn uncontrollably day and night. The components of this formula provide an incredibly effective and safe way to block the pain-triggering enzymes of what are referred to as the 7 pain pathways. Pain pathway number 1, break the grip of COX-2 pain once and for all. The COX-2 enzyme triggers the inflammation process at the root of the most common pain. This is the pain pathway targeted by what are known as COX-2 inhibitors sold by Big Pharma and over-the-counter NSAIDs like ibuprofen, aspirin, naproxen, and acetaminophen. Problem is, these pills also target the essential COX-1 enzyme that is critical for protecting your stomach lining and maintaining neurovascular functions. But the natural compounds found in the nerve pain-relieving ingredients I'm about to share with you have proven incredibly potent for shutting down the pain without any nasty side effects. More than any other natural or synthetic compounds previous researchers have tested. That alone was jaw-dropping news to me, but it gets even better because Albert's ingredients also shut off 6 more hidden pain triggers beyond the COX-2. During his study of pain mechanisms throughout the body, Albert learned that COX-1 and COX-2 only partially inhibit your body's natural pain response. While that's a help, it explains why plenty of I'm hurting messages still flow through. In fact, these pain pathways are so sensitive that even just a tiny trigger can cause agony somewhere in your body. Those flare-ups in your back, neck, legs, fingers, and toes, these silent pain pathways are probably the cause. But my brilliant friend Albert figured out how to break this pain chain by shutting down all 7 of these pain pathways, including pain pathway number 2, PGE2. One particularly destructive source of pain is prostaglandin E2, PGE2, which is released when our joints are stressed by physical activities like jogging, working out, or just working hard. This lipid compound not only causes searing pain, it actually destroys crucial joint and connective tissue. But Albert's all-natural ingredients were able to shut down PGE2 while at the same time squelching COX-2. His test subjects reported that they were now simply able to stop the hurt. Pain pathway number 3, 5-LOX. Then there's 5-lipoxygenase, 5-LOX, a just-discovered enzyme that researchers believe may be 100 times as inflammatory as COX-2. Other natural remedies may not block 5-LOX, but the powerful alpha nutrients in Albert's formula are successfully able to do this. Pain pathway number 4, TNF-alpha, tumor necrosis factor alpha, a cytokine that promotes inflammation as well as bone and tissue destruction and is linked to joint problems and chronic back pain. Pain pathway number 5, INOS, inductible nitric oxide synthase, an enzyme that produces nitric oxide, which in turn triggers inflammation among its various cellular functions. Pain pathway number 6, reactive nitrogen species, RNS, a very nasty free radical compound formed in excess during inflammation and linked to heart disease and cancer. Pain pathway number 7, NF-kappa B, that's NF-kB, blood proteins that regulate numerous pro-inflammation mediators and cytokines and are found in asthma, allergies, and other airway inflammations. Yes, the ingredients in Albert's recipe attack all 7 pain triggers, so your aches and inflammation don't stand a chance. I don't want to go one more second without telling you about the ingredients in Albert's formula. California poppy has been used for years to help overcome a variety of ailments, including insomnia, aches, nervous agitation, and diseases of the bladder and liver. In combination with other natural herbs, California poppy is shown to relieve nerve pain, blood vessel problems, and is also used for sleep and mood disturbances. This gentle yet powerful herb, combined with the rest of Albert's ingredients, will soothe your aching feet, hands, fingers, and toes, and relieve the flaming sensation in your muscles and tendons day in and day out. And Albert didn't want any shooting pain or inflammation hanging on, even by the thinnest thread, for anyone. That's why the second big element in his exclusive herbal blend swarms all over the pain and inflammation from different angles. Corydalis yanhasuo, the specific compound dihydrocorybulbine, DHCB, derived from the root of this herbal medicine plant, has been shown to reduce both inflammatory and neuropathic pain. Corydalis appears to work similarly to prescription pain medications by blocking pain signals to the brain, but without carrying the same risk of addiction. It brings a calm comfort to your hands and feet, helps relax muscles, and promotes restful sleep. Also included as a major component in this nerve pain-relieving formula is passion flower. It combines to further alleviate nerve pain, nervous stress, anxiety, and helps facilitate a more restful night's sleep. And it has been put to use in order to relax both muscles and nerves, reduce pain, help calm the hands and feet, and may have antidepressant and sedative properties. Next ingredient, prickly pear. From the Mayo Clinic, prickly pear cactus, also known as nopal, opuntia, and other names, is promoted for treating diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, and hangovers. It's also touted for its antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties. And a 2014 study from the U.S. National Library of Medicine reviewed the prickly pear's biological effects, particularly those having the most promising expected health benefit and therapeutic impacts. The prickly pear cactus is full of antioxidants. These antioxidants can further protect our cells from damage caused by free radicals and therefore reduce oxidative stress. Antioxidants can benefit everyone, regardless of age and pre-existing conditions. And the final ingredient in Albert's perfect formula, marshmallow root. The root of the marshmallow plant, a demulcent, which means that it's high in anti-inflammatory mucilage, a gelatinous substance produced by all plants in varying degrees that helps them store water. To put things in perspective, mucilage-rich plants have been used to fight inflammation for over 4,000 years. The marshmallow root's ability to hold on to water carries over in your system. That means the water literally sticks to your insides, which has a moistening and soothing effect on you internally. This is beneficial not only to fighting swelling, inflammation, and improving your hydration, but also your digestive system, including your stomach and intestinal lining, your respiratory system, your urinary tract, even your skin. I was in complete awe over everything Albert was sharing with me. This sounded too unbelievable. At one point, I was honestly a little skeptical, but by this point, he had presented me with an overwhelming amount of facts, figures, and results. He continued, "As for my test subjects who participated in my studies, I've never seen them complain of a single cramp ever again, let alone nerve pain. This was something healthy and necessary for the body. It was easy to digest and had no side effects whatsoever. My mom had enough on her plate, and I knew I didn't want to ask her to be responsible for her remembering to take all of these ingredients separately. Albert agreed to work with me to consolidate these extract ingredients into the exact dosages necessary to create the most pure and bioavailable formula into one capsule. Given the circumstances that my mother's leg was in danger, not to mention her life, we knew this could be her last chance, and there was no room for error. Albert and I ruthlessly checked every single ingredient over again and intensively tested and cross-checked our product over the course of 9 grueling weeks of hardly any sleep. Now the formulation was finally ready, and I had to get these pills to my mother as quickly as possible. When I arrived on that foggy day in the midst of February, I rushed to her bedside and gave her the first pill and a glass of water. I gave her instructions on when to take them, and now we just had to wait. Seemingly on the edge of a nervous breakdown, all I could manage to do was pray and lean on my faith. This continued over the course of 4 days of still not seeing any results. Was it going to work? And then, finally, my nervousness transformed into overwhelming joy when one bright morning I saw a little twinkle in my mother's eyes. Something was different. She felt odd at first, moving around freely with mobility that had improved significantly, without the intense pain level she'd been living under for years on end. Her range of motion and her balance was returning, and her infections were receding, and her nighttime convulsions began to slow down significantly. After day 11, it wasn't wishful thinking anymore. My mom was now up bright and early, performing at full throttle and happy as a whip. She was so full of energy and alert as a cat. I watched as she moved around effortlessly. She was no longer on the verge of falling over every time she moved, and on May 19th, we received a newly updated clinical decision from our ICU doctor. They said they couldn't explain it in medical terms. Not only were the outside infections clearing up, but all her tests showed that they were disappearing on the inside as well. Her nervous system was operating at optimal levels again, and for 8 weeks straight, she got her 8 hours of sleep every single night. She was nearly completely free of the pain that haunted her for years. Imagine, by the grace of God, I was able to reconnect with Albert and find these natural nutrients to save my mom. Such a weight was lifted from me, I could have floated away like a red balloon. The shackles chaining her to pain and suffering were now completely gone, and this horrible nightmare was finally behind us for good. Mom was shining again for the first time in decades. She was so happy, so full of life, and so confident in her body. She was taking my daughters back and forth to their dance classes, and meanwhile she couldn't help but tell everyone within earshot of her rejuvenation. She explained how unheard of her recovery was, and joked that she could outdance women half her age. As a result, soon there was a large group of people asking her about my miracle medication and how they could get some for themselves. My mom's phone was off the hook with calls and messages asking if they could contact me. They wanted the pain-free lifestyle my mother now had. They desired to enjoy old age like she does now. I witnessed my mother's pain firsthand, so how could I deny them? I wanted to help these people too, so I had Albert mix up what we had left into a few small batches. I was honored when I kept hearing people say that this medication was a godsend, and credited me for helping them dissolve their nerve pain. I got endless feedback from folks reporting of diminished pain, returning coordination, and getting a full night's rest. And that's when this new idea really bloomed to get bigger, so I could help treat as many people who needed it. My next step with Albert was teaming up with a world-class research and development organization called FightAge Labs, with the experience and the global resources to create the quantities we needed. While we ramped up production together, we never took our eyes off the quality, purity, and bioavailability of our ingredients. I acted as if every batch was made specifically for my mom when she was on the verge of losing life and limb. I named the treatment Nerve Control 911. It's like a rescue mission going inside your body and handcuffing all the naughty, pain-causing enzymes and locking them up for good. Then it's like a repair crew moves in and patches up the damage in the crime scene, healing the numbness, the stabbing, crawling, throbbing, and burning sensations, and gets you back to the healthy lifestyle you enjoyed before your nerves were under attack. No dangerous drugs, no surprising expensive bills from doctor visits, and no disappointing conclusions that always tear away your hope for a brighter future. And even if you don't have nerve pain right now, our potent ingredients act as a shield to protect you from ever getting it in the first place. Before the pain, suffering, and expensive doctor visits ever need to occur. That's what many others are already doing. So, allow me to introduce you to our all-new Nerve Control Emergency Response Program. For the next 30 days, take 2 capsules every day with food. 30 days allow Nerve Control 911 to penetrate damaged nerves and repair them at the core. It also allows the core ingredients to repair your central nervous system that's currently causing your uncomfortable sensations and nerve damage. It's crucial that you absorb these ingredients, especially if your body is already sending out warning signs of nerve damage. These warnings are the burning, tingling sensations we spoke about earlier. It means the damage is worsening and could possibly lead to other inflammatory diseases. It's important you give your body a few weeks to allow the ingredients to absorb and do their job. As a result, you're permanently halting the triggering of the enzymes that cause all 7 pain corridors that I shared with you. This extinguishes the possibility and worries of your nerve pain returning in the future. And let's be honest, we're only human, and naturally these stressors tend to come back and haunt us every once in a while. In all honesty, nerve pain is becoming all too common and punishes over 20 million Americans. Like Landon Clark from Cedar Rapids, who says, "Every 4 months I got shots in my shoulder because there was pain shooting up my feet, neck, arms, and hips. It was incredibly annoying and expensive. I'm so glad I found Nerve Control 911. I ordered it as soon as I discovered it and have been taking it since it got here. In only 16 days, my pain was gone and I was back at the gym for the first time in years. I'm slowly working up to more physical activity, but right now I can walk around with no pain whatsoever and I have my life back." A similar story came from Amy Collins from Tacoma, who says, "I had enough. My HMO refused to give me physical therapy for jabbing pain in my legs and lower back. They didn't offer me anything, literally nothing. Then I found Nerve Control 911 and bought 4 bottles right away. It started working right away and makes those creams and medications look like scams. I've tried almost all of them. I'm preparing to get myself a 6-month supply. No side effects and works like a miracle. I have files full of real stories. And now that you know about Nerve Control 911, I want to collect your miracle story too. Keep in mind that Nerve Control 911 is only available on this webpage and you won't be able to find it anywhere else. I've been receiving threats from pharmaceutical lawyers on a regular basis, and I don't know how long we'll be able to maintain this website."
I really hope you found this video useful. Thanks a lot for watching.